Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today's message is all about honesty and it's all about truth. And I know I talk about these two concepts a lot in all of my different messages, but today is particularly around self-honesty being the currency of your potential. And that's what I really want to dive into with you guys today, because this is so super important, because without our foundational piece being that level of ability to be brutally honest with the self, if we don't have that ability, if we haven't developed that muscle, then ultimately we can only get to the same level of potential as the same amount of self-honesty we're able to have. So those two things, that self-honesty and reaching new levels of your potential, they're in direct proportion to one another. If we don't have that foundational piece of being able to be completely honest with ourselves, our ability to tap fully into that deep inner knowing of what's true, what's a lie, if we don't have that ability, we can't reach our full potential. It's just impossible. So because we don't have a starting point, we have some random starting point built on lies, built on self-deceptive ways of thinking, and ultimately that keeps us really stuck and limited. We will never get to that next level of our potential. So this is the work that I am constantly doing within myself. And in order to get to the depths of real self-honesty, you have to be willing to, have light shone on those dark places within you that you don't really want to admit are there. And it takes so much courage. And what I've come to really believe is that most of us, we're so fearful of owning those deeper parts of ourselves, that piece within you, that piece deep down that always knows what's true and what's not true. We always carry that with us, but it's your ability to tap into it and listen to it. And most of us are too scared to go to that depth because we're too scared of what we'll find there. And what I've come to discover is that the sooner you can get to a place of trusting in your ability to figure things out, to a place where you trust in your ability to learn the lessons and grow from whatever you find, until you get to that level of trust within yourself, you're going to be way too scared to have brutal honesty with yourself, because you're not believing that you can handle whatever challenge comes up. And there will be many, many challenges when we tap into that inner knowing and that inner wisdom and that truth. But unless we're able to get to that truth, we can't really reach a true level of our potential. It's always going to feel like we're doing everything that we think we should do rather than what the truth of us is calling us to do. And that is a life I know personally, firsthand, that is so dead. It is so it's so fearful. It's such a fearful way of living. It's so limited. It's constantly walking on eggshells. It's constantly in fear of the truth because it knows innately that it's on the wrong path. It knows that it's doing things for all of the wrong reasons. And that's what keeps us stuck, limited, and small in our lives. So that's why I'm bringing this message to you guys today, to alert you to, bringing in a practice in your life where you are going to the depths of being really honest with yourself. You're tapping into that internal truth and you're trusting it. And if you currently are either in a place where you can't go there, you're too scared, and you're at least able to kind of admit that partly to yourself, then there's two levels of getting out of that place. So getting out of that place where you can't face the truth that's within. Number one, as I said earlier, you have to go on a journey of building that inner trust that you can handle whatever challenge comes up from acknowledging that truth and trusting that you will always figure it out and grow from any challenge. You have to develop that deep-seated belief within yourself in order to handle the depths of the truth that's within. And secondly, I really think that it's important to have people in our lives where we have developed develop the kind of relationship that we can call each other out, because it's so hard to see all of our blind spots when we're just operating from this realm, and you got to tackle it. You got to go to war with it from different angles. Number one, go to war with it from yourself, and building that internal belief that you can handle whatever challenge you're faced with, because you know that you will always grow from it. And secondly, going to war from the external with somebody that you really know, like, and trust. So whether that is that you have a friend or a family member, or whether you get a coach or you have a therapist or whatever, just find some third party that is that you really do trust, and that you will place within them the type of power, and you can only do this with people that you trust, but place in them that power that you are allowing them to openly, authentically, and honestly call you out on the blind spots from which they can only see from their vantage point, from their perspective, because they're not in it emotionally like you, and you trust them enough to allow them to have that kind of power in your life, and that you are going to openly accept what you hear from them and run it through your own system, in the hope that you will discover something more about yourself. And from that place, you can get to a real place of self-honesty, and that is your pathway to getting to the next level of your potential. But if you don't develop a belief in yourself that you can handle whatever challenge you are faced with, and you don't have anybody in your external world who can shine some sort of light on those blind spots that you, from your vantage point, aren't going to be able to see, then ultimately you're not going to get onto that pathway of your potential, and then you're going to stay stuck and limited in this zone of fear. So until you can get to that place of self-honesty, you're not going to be truly able to reach the heights of your potential and ultimately your fulfillment and freedom. So hoping that this message is definitely resonating with you guys out there. I hope it's inspiring you to get to that next level of self-honesty, so that you can reach that next level of your limitless potential. And on that note, if you haven't already, come on over and join us in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. We want you to be a part of it. It is where we are supporting, challenging, and encouraging each other to get to that next level. And it's a safe zone for us to share our experiences, get some more perspective in our lives, and get to that next level. So we'd love for you to be a part of that. Click on the link above, request to join, and I'll accept you into that amazing community. Can't wait to go deeper with you. And let me check in and see what's going on. I've got Eric and Hassani and Samia and Daniel and Hosyu and Jeremy and Adele and Sam and Stephen and Mercedes and Robin. Hi to you and Joshua and Adele. I'm loving that you're respecting today's message. And Alexandria and Tufik and Maggie and Rashed. And yes, I love that you're joining me live again, Alexandria. And Robin, sacrifices must be made as well. Yeah, so I think that having that level of self-honesty, when we can tap into the truth, the real truth that's within, I actually feel like that nothing becomes a sacrifice, because we actually tap into this ability to know what's good for us, what's healthy for us, and what's not so good, and what's unhealthy for us. And all of a sudden, there is nothing to sacrifice, because we get into alignment with everything that is on our healthy path, everything that is going to help us to get to that next level. And when I talk about this level of self-honesty, this is the basis for every success in every area of your life. No matter whether it is your career path, your purpose in life, your relationships, your health, your finances, everything starts from this foundational piece of the ability to be completely honest with the self and tap into that internal truth. And that is what I'm talking about today. And I so appreciate you being here, Robin. And Tahia and Marlon and Wes and Fazia and Pradel and and Filippo and Mel and Neil and Jamal and Robin would believe the lie, but when I smiled, some part of my brain was like, this is a lie. Luckily, it was years ago. Absolutely. And that's an experience. I want you to all reflect back on your life and really look at those times in your life where you had the answer, you knew the truth. Oftentimes you might have felt it in your gut, wherever you felt it in the body, you kind of like, it's like, I know the truth here, but you chose to go down a different path. You chose not to listen to that truth inside till you got to a point in your life where you reflected back and you were like, oh, I knew back then that that wasn't the right path, but I chose to ignore that. And that is your internal truth. And I want you guys to be able to get to a place, and it's where I'm constantly working on myself each and every day, to trust in my intuition, to trust in my inner truth and follow that path, and get to a place where I'm constantly, in my life, I'm moving and operating from that realm, because I know that that's where I make my best decisions, when I trust within that intuition, or that truth within, that feeling within, where I know what the right thing is. And where did I hear this? I think it's in Buddhism, that it's like first thought, best thought sort of thing, like first decision, best decision. And that's because they believe that we get the answer, we have that intuitive response straight away, like bang. And if we choose to ignore it and we get into this overthinking mind, we take ourselves away from our truth and our self-honesty, and we start manufacturing what that should be rather than what it actually is. And that's what takes us off path. So hope that resonated with you guys, and so appreciate you, Robin. And Memat, thanks for being here. And Amir and Alexandria, love that this is resonating. And Robin, got to get in touch with your higher self and listen to the voice that you try to blot out. Absolutely, exactly. And Leica and J-Ward and Eric, I'm loving that this is resonating. And Hilton and Eteroma and Robin. Honesty was my biggest problem, was scared to hurt others and of the consequences, self-honesty and digging out the real you and values under all the impressions of your peers. Absolutely. That is the place of true freedom, when we can get out of the filters of our way of being, being so scared about the consequences from the external world, who will judge us, reject us, whatever. Get rid of that. That is such a tiring existence. And the sooner we can tap into that honesty and that trust within the self, you gain this amazing certainty, this amazing confidence that you are able to get outside of yourself and your own fears. And when you do get judged and criticized by the external world, which is inevitable, not everybody's going to love you or even like you, and people are definitely going to harshly judge you, just get over that. Realize that that's a fact. And if you let that keep you stuck and small, you keep yourself scared and in a lot of fear. But the sooner you step forth with an ounce of courage in the direction of the truth that's within you, and you forget about the judgments in others, and you just show up with what's authentically you, you come from this place of certainty, and you're able to see others' fears for their own fears. You don't take it personally. It doesn't always feel that good, but you don't take it personally. You actually get to a place of compassion for others. And you know that the way that others show up and interact and engage with the world is a complete reflection of their internal world. And if they're going to be harsh and judgmental and critical and lay down all these consequences for you showing up as you, really, it's just their own fears, and you can see that, and you really do have compassion because you know what that feels like. We all know what that feels like, and my hope for each and every one of you guys out there is that you can get to a place of knowing what it feels like to be true to yourself and have certainty and compassion when people hit you with their judgments. So I love that you've been on that journey, Robin, and I so appreciate you sharing your experience here. You're a rock star. And Abina is here, and Alexandria. This practice of self-trust and self-honesty really helps dissipate anxiety and worry. Absolutely, because we tap into love and we get out of fear. You know, fear is, you know, anxiety, worry, they're just different terms for another version of fear that we all have to kind of battle, you know. And that anxiety and worry comes from you not trusting yourself, because we don't trust ourselves because we don't listen to ourselves. So think about this inner child within you that is not getting looked after because you're ignoring it. You're letting it kind of fend for itself, and you're out here focused on the external world. You're not actually listening in. What does it need? What does it want? Listen to it. Give to it. Operate from that truth and from that realm and from that place. When you actually get into that inner child and you listen to it, you love it, you nurture it, it begins to trust you, and that is where you get out of fear, because the fear is coming from this child who's not getting looked after, it's getting ignored. And when you can give it the love, attention, and trust, then it trusts you, and it gets out of fear into love, and you get into that state of freedom. So love that. Thanks, Alexandria. You are so appreciated, as you know. And William's here, and Mahinda Pal, and Kamal, and Michael, and Robin, and Rashad. Thanks, Vanessa. Please continue this helpful. I hope that you come with book with your powerful motivation. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words there, Rashad. And I'm super grateful that you're finding value in these messages. And you guys, whenever you mention, like, for me to write a book, it's so inspiring to me because it's something I absolutely love to do. So I so appreciate you, Rashad. Thank you. And you're so welcome, Robin. Thanks for being here. And Richard and Liam and Joe, awesome. And Eric, as Tony said, if it's not challenging you enough, your dream ain't big enough. Sorry, Vanessa, I don't remember the exact phrase. Yeah, so I don't know. I saw there is a quote, if it's not challenging you, it's not, yeah, well, that's the thesis of it. So yeah, definitely. You've got to challenge yourself and you've got to dream big. But in order to tap into true inspiration, which is really the power of dreaming big and actually really challenging ourselves to our highest potential, you actually have to tap into that truth. You can't be coming from scarcity. You have to be coming from abundance. And abundance comes when we fully trust within ourselves. We're not operating in survival and fear anymore. We're actually operating from strength, love, certainty, truth, and honor. And from that place, that is where we actually tap into an inspiring vision, dream, and way of being. And that is how we get into real challenge to step into the next level of our potential, rather than just the challenge of surviving. So absolutely love you being here as always, Eric, and Mario, and Dustin, and Lars, and Linda. Thanks for being here, guys. And Eric, fears are there to be faced and get over them. Go for it. No fear. Yeah. F the fears. Yes, you can. Absolutely, Eric. I absolutely love your mindset there. And you guys know I'm always talking into the value of fear. I love fear. I love anything that scares me, terrifies me, and I've had to get to this place, and it's only because I have a really deep-seated belief that I know whatever challenges me, whatever throws me off track, I know that that is my opportunity and pathway to learn the lesson I need to get to the next level of my potential, so that I can feel true fulfillment and not stay stuck, limited by fears and insecurities. So I love that, Eric. Thanks so much for sharing your words of wisdom here. And Hassani, how does this look in your day-to-day life, tapping into your inner self and serving your inner child? I love your questions there, Hassani. And yeah, this is always evolving for me. You guys know, if you've been following along, I've been reading, and I'm still reading and immersing myself and doing so much work in this book by Caroline Myss, Sacred Contracts. And I've just uncovered what's called my archetypal wheel. And in my wheel, I actually have a couple of different inner children and a princess. If you didn't see that within me, I'm telling you now, I've got a princess in me. And it's a funny thing about when we can use archetypal patterns to sort of put language to what goes on inside of us. And this is just a phenomenal book. It's very, very deep. It brings some symbolic language to our growth and experience. So I really, for all of you, personal development junkies out there, I really challenge you to get this book and go deep. That's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm saying my day-to-day way of, looking at my inner child is shifting and changing and evolving, because I'm learning a lot more about Caroline Miss's perception on our personal growth and what is it, like our way of being, our individuality and purpose in life. And so that's kind of changing, and that's about to really evolve as I learn about the inner children within me. But honestly, how it looks right now for me is whenever I have a decision to make, I'm tapping into what it feels like in my physical body. I'm tapping into and listening to myself. Instead of being faced with a challenge or a decision and going to the external world, what should I do? Hey you, what should I do? This is my challenge, what should I be doing here? And filling my mind up with all these different opinions and judgments from the external world, which I do actually think is highly valuable. We can get so much value from the other people who've walked the talk and, they've had the experiences and all of that stuff. But before I do that, I slow down. And I build trust within myself by checking in with myself first. I slow down, I take a deep breath, I run it through my own system. I trust myself enough to say, hey, wait a minute, before I go out there, I'm going to check in within here. And that builds such a trust within the self that I'm valuing myself and I'm valuing what I feel is the right move to make. And this is going to be different for everybody. You guys know I'm always also talking about personality psychology. And for me personally, I'm a feeler, but there are also thinkers. And there's different ways. It's too in-depth to go into right here, right now, but there's different ways. So what works best for me and tapping into my intuition is going internally and checking out how I feel, because I lead with a feeling process, which is, running about my decisions based on feeling. That's the way I personally make my best decisions. And an intuitive process, which is an introverted process, particularly for me. I know this might go whoosh over the top of your heads because I haven't gone deep and it's kind of difficult to understand. I'm sorry I've taken so long to go around in a bloody circle with this one for you, Huss. But so that's currently personally how I'm checking in with myself. Listen to yourself, check in with yourself, value what's internally for you before you go externally. Not to just go internally and forget about everybody else, because there's lots of wisdom and value to be found in the external world, but trust yourself first. That's where I'm going to end it for now, because I feel like I've gone around in a big circle. But I so appreciate you, Hassani, and thanks so much for your question there. Hope it was valuable. And Radir's here, and Sunsire, and Ventura, and Nikki, and Antonio, and Eric. Yes, hashtag face your fears, absolutely. And Eric, thanks Vanessa for your words, they're always helpful. And much, much gratitude to you, Eric. And Joey's here, and Hassani, definitely see the princess. Yeah, I know, sorry. It's a big part of me, a big part of my personality. I've really discovered that. And Jessica and Steve's here, and Hassani, I feel like I gather great ideas from books, but I understand what you mean. I think before I dive into each book, I can start to set the intention for what I want to get out of it, and then go internally and see what I can get from myself first. What do you think? And great answer. Always appreciate you taking the time to go in depth. You're the best. You're the best, Hassani. And yes, I love that. Be intentional. So many people, so many of you amazing human beings that I get to connect with from across the globe each and every day, you're not trusting yourselves. You have so much wisdom, and you're not trusting yourselves. You're trying to seek the answers constantly in the external world, and it's come at the expense of your own truth. So I don't want you to stop seeking guidance, wisdom, all of that brilliant knowledge that's available to us in our external world. Never stop that. Always be a student, absolutely. But not at the expense of your own truth. So I love, Hassani, that you are going to get more intentional about, what you're expecting to learn. And also, as you go through your learning, as you go through these books, I would really encourage you to tap in each chapter, whenever you're learning a new concept. run it through your own internal wisdom. How does this feel to me? You know, what would I say to somebody who asked me about this concept? What's my experience with this concept? Start trying to build your own trust within yourself by running it through your experience. How do you already have some of this knowledge? Like, a lot of what's being said and presented to you, you actually already know if you actually trusted yourself. So with a lot of my clients, what I tend to do is they're asking me these questions, and I try to stop as best as I can, because I love being asked questions and I love like seeing whatever's going to pop out of myself. But instead I have to slow down and I have to stop and I have to say, well, what do you think the answer is? What do you think that is? Because what I'm trying to do is develop the trust that you have within you. You know, you can come to me and you can get my answer, but that's ultimately my answer, and I hope that it's helpful. I hope that it gives you new perspective. But what's really valuable is when you run things within your own internal wisdom and you drum out the answer. You'll surprise yourself. Absolutely. That's why I love questions, because I surprise myself, and every question that I'm faced with and I answer randomly, and that's why I so value each and every one of you asking me random questions that I've never been asked before, and I'm like, whoa, I'm on the spot. It actually helps me so much to build my own trust within myself. So you guys give so much value to me in your questions. So that's why one of the reasons I'm super grateful for each and every one of you, and you included, Hassani. I hope that my answer was of value to you, and I love that you are such an action taker, like I say, of going to the next level and thirsty for new knowledge. And definitely that next step is trusting within yourself, getting intentional and asking yourself the questions. Absolutely. And Wayne's here, awesome. And Eric, I learned last Saturday of being careful about what I think, because they might come true. Absolutely, I love that. That's definitely getting intentional about your thoughts. They are powerful. And Sue's here, and Darren and Thiago and Mark and Lisa. Awesome, guys. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who's been able to join me today. I hope that it's triggered you to really get honest with yourself, and know that when you can't get honest with yourself, you block yourself from your potential. In every stage of my personal development, it started with me getting to a new level and depth of honesty within myself. And I couldn't have got to another level until I got to that stage of ability to trust within myself that I can handle and always take a lesson from whatever's challenging and painful, to be able to get to that depth of honesty. And I know I've got so many levels and layers to go. I know I'm going to reflect back on this time in my life and realize how many lies I was just oblivious to in my own mindset. So this is a journey of constant evolution, and so being able to tap into our honesty and get into our trust and truth within ourselves is foundational for our growth. So develop a practice that will allow you to do that, but daily you need to be checking in with your own internal truth daily, to the point where you run everything through it innately. It's like your first response is to, how do I feel about this? What's true? Is this true? Is it not? Where am I operating from? So that is it from me today, guys. I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you, to wherever you are in the world today. Day or night, I hope it's extraordinary, and I've so appreciated each and every one of you guys engaging. I love you guys. Keep showing up day after day, and I appreciate your connection and relationships so much, and I'd love to go deeper with you guys in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. Or if I haven't met you yet, what are we waiting for? I want to meet you. I want to connect with you. So book in one of my free 15-minute power sessions. I'd love to get on video and connect with you and see how I could best support you in your current challenge. So definitely make sure that you click on the link above and book in one of those times as well. Sending you all of my love, and I will see you guys tomorrow.